Good morning, hockey world. It's your buddy Choppadong at DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything fantasy sports, NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, hockey, whatever it is, we've got it. We've got the coaches and experts in place to help take your game to the next level. Obviously, we are designed to teach you how to consolidate your research, put you on a better track right out of the gate, and then compete with the pros when you have less time, because timing is what the pros used to have as an advantage over you. And they don't anymore because we have cheat sheets at DFS Army for every sport. We have our own way of doing things and presenting information to you, as well as the coaches in our room, in our chat rooms, that are there talking to you in real time, back and forth, helping you strategize the slates. We see comments all the time out on Twitter. We see comments in our chat rooms all the time thanking us for the amount of time that we put into your game. So I would like to see you consider becoming a VIP at DFSArmy.com. Use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, or the coupon code DFS Army. Either one works. Save 20% off. Get in here today. While you're down there, like and subscribe to the video channel. Ring the notification bell so these videos drop to your phone once they are produced. Let's kind of dive into to our cheat sheets today. This is my own little cheat sheet. It's something that I do, that I process myself. And I've got a game score. I've done videos showing you how to calculate it, whatever. If you want to go back and look through the YouTube channel, that's great. And the matchup scores typically indicate to me the scoring environments. When I see stuff like, this, it's okay. When I see stuff like this, 70 and a 73, that's a good environment possibly for a shootout tonight. When you see a big number and a little number, it's a little bit more of a lopsided situation. And tonight's scoring, or tonight's matchup scores, really have me questioning some things, because what I usually see is overlap when I'm looking. And really the secret to the matchup score is taking the goals for and the opponent's goals against and adding them together and getting a score. So what I'm looking for, green lights are good offenses facing bad defenses. Red lights are bad offenses facing good defenses, and then everything in between. And so what I'm looking for is high numbers and green lights on here, and I see Vancouver's potentially in a good spot. They've averaged, I don't know, like 4.9 goals per game in their last few games, and St. Louis has allowed almost 4. That's not a good environment for St. Louis. But Vegas is conflicted. Vegas gives Vancouver an implied team total like 2.4, and St. Louis is favored. So we've got big public knowledge that is kind of leaning one way, but then we've got some paper numbers that are leaning the other. And on a night like tonight, this sheet is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. And I don't know, usually we see at least some kind of alignment. When we like certain teams a lot, they match up in the top 5 in terms of matchup score, as well as in Vegas at implied team totals over a 3.4. And today we've only got 2 implied team totals at 3.4. I put these others on there just for kicks and giggles, because again, there's so much or so little overlap between the games in what I look at versus what everybody else looks at. Now, I don't want you to take this the wrong way and think, oh, holy cow, if I go with him, I'm going to get really, really low ownership because everybody else is going to be watching Vegas and thinking this way. And while that's partially true, this slate is 9 games large. There ain't going to be any ownership problems anywhere anyway. If you've ever done the math, let me show you this really, really quick, because this might help solidify the whole ownership game thing. Let's take our calculator here, and let's say that you run across a couple of chalky players. One at 22%, another one at 25%, and another one at a whopping 32%. What are the odds that somebody else used all 3 of those players in the same lineup? You multiply those percentages by each other, and you get a 1.7% chance. So even though you use 3 pretty chalky players over 20%, your lineup itself is still pretty unique. Does it make sense? You can do this in football. You can do this anywhere else. If in football, we knew there was a game a while back where we had David Johnson back in the day and Ezekiel Elliott, I think, back in the day, and they were just smash cash. And everybody was going to run them. And everybody said, they're pay up for running back. We'll run one or the other. Well, I ran both. Why? Because I knew that I'd immediately cut the field in half. If they're both at 50% owned, but I run them both together, only 25% of the lineups out there, roughly, are doing that. And that's exactly the way it panned out. I went through and looked through that contest and went, you know what? That's so funny how that works because it's true. If you multiply the ownerships together, you're going to get the end result. If we said, 27% times 21% times 33% times 18%, those are four pretty chalky players, right? That would be, three wingers and a defenseman. Boom. Under 1% of the people stack that for you. Most of the time. Now, hockey, everybody stacks, so it may be a little bit different in that regard. But as a general rule, the more you take more and more and more chalk, the more unique you get anyway. Yeah, you're up there fighting with everybody else that has all those players for unique combinations, but your combination is likely going to be unique anyway. And the bigger the slate, the more the options spread out. Therefore, the less the chalk concentrates in one single spot. And in hockey, with such a volatile sport, the more the chalk spreads out because people have different thoughts. And this list that I put together, some people are going to say it's just straight bullshit. And that's fine because some nights I'm going to be right, some nights I'm not going to be right. And that's all that really matters is when I am right, I'm at the top of leaderboards. And if you followed my stuff lately, it's been smashing pretty good. The hard part, DFS has been pretty easy to trim the fat off the slates. The hard part's been getting everybody in the same lineups, getting the ones that do go off in the same lineups. But we've got it narrowed down for you pretty close. I might see some one-offs outside of here, a little bit like the New Jersey Devils. Maybe I like a Taylor Hall. I don't know why he's not in a very good scoring environment. I might like Pasternak or Marchand. They're in okay scoring environments. Tampa Bay, okay scoring environments. And a lot of people are probably going to gravitate towards that game, and I don't see it as one of the better scoring environments on the night. Now, again, they could be right. I could be wrong. When it all shakes out, I think if we run this slate, 100 times, I think that these are the teams that are going to do fairly well. And I think those numbers are panning out if you track my sheets over the year. So who are we focused on? Who am I focused on? Top five. And I don't know if I'm going to stick with this or not. Here's the teams I'm really focused on. Smattering of these. Okay. It won't be exclusively this list or exclusively this list. It's going to be probably just about everybody, which is why my stacks sheet is really, really big. So really quickly, 60-63 borderline shootout here, but Boston plays pretty good defense and they're at home. And Tampa Bay plays pretty good defense. So that keeps that number down. You've got Tampa Bay at a 3.7 per game scored, Boston 3.3 per game scored, but the teams are both a 3.0 and a 2.3 against. So those are pretty good defenses, and that's why this score is held down. Minnesota and Montreal, this is another decent scoring environment. I'd focus more on the Montreal side. New York Rangers, I'd focus on the New York Rangers side, but this is a very small sample size. New York's only played like 3 games. Where you got 5, 6, 7 game samples, so you get a little bit better read on some of these offenses with different varying matchups, different quality defenses they're going against. How powerful is that offense? You've got a better read on it versus New York, who's still sitting back there at 3 games. They'll catch up here in another week or so. But as of right now, what we know about them, it's a pretty good scoring environment because the New Jersey Devils are allowing almost 4 goals per game. That's what's pumping this number up. Vancouver, same situation just described to you. St. Louis, kind of the opposite. St. Louis is not scoring a lot of goals right now. I'm sorry, they're scoring about 3.5 goals right now. Vancouver's not allowing a lot of goals right now. That's part of the issue. If they're not allowing a lot of goals right now, then, that's just going to really hurt the chances of a St. Louis. Winnipeg, this is a little bit low for me. This one's a little bit low for me. Doesn't mean it can't go off and surprise us. It just means that I don't think most of the time that that's going to be a game I need to be focused on. This is a game that I like a lot, a potential shootout game. Nashville, 5.0 goals for in the last few games. And Arizona's only allowing 2 goals against. But with that offense running into this defense, something's going to give. It's a weird situation because I can see Arizona shutting them down. Arizona's playing great defense right now. But I can also see Nashville scoring some goals. The scoring environment is there just because of the hotness of the Nashville offense. So I would stack them up in tournaments. I don't know how much I'd use them in cash games because Arizona puts a little bit of risk or puts a little bit of question marks on that Nashville offense. So I might temper my expectations in a cash game type situation. Ottawa and Vegas. This is another good scoring situation. This is another potential shootout. Because you've got 2 teams that are, Ottawa's not scoring a lot, but Vegas is allowing some goals. Vegas is scoring quite a bit, and Ottawa's allowing some goals. So you've got a couple of those little iffy situations going back and forth. Buffalo, probably a better situation than the LA Kings right now because LA is allowing 4.5 goals per game, and Buffalo's scoring 3 goals per game. That adds up to like a 75. That's where I get the number. So that would be a spot that I might focus on where I would temper expectations is road back-to-back. Didn't Buffalo play last night? Road back-to-backs often lead to tired teams. I might focus more on the second line, which conveniently I've got a couple of players that are on here. I guess this is the top line that I'm focused on, but I might focus on the second line if they were doing anything. They really weren't doing much when I looked. So if I'm focused on Vancouver, New York, Buffalo, Arizona, Montreal, that is a weird list right there, man. That's a GPP list if I ever saw it. Over 3.4, Vegas and Calgary might be chalky type offenses, but then you come down here into Montreal. Well, here, your two games over 3.4. Calgary at 4.0 and Vegas at 4.2. That's the implied team total coming out of Vegas. Those are monsters. Those are where your cash games should be probably focused. There's a strong correlation between high implied team totals and teams that consistently score points. That's not rocket science. And in cash games, we're trying to remove the overthinking and we're trying to make it easy. And so for cash games, I'd be focused on these offenses and maybe take some one-offs out of these others. Okay? Tournaments, I'd probably be focused on something funky like this because I mean it's boom or bust, man. It's either gonna be great or it's gonna be trash. And in tournaments, I don't really care. I want it to be great. If it's trash, I wasn't gonna make any money with it anyway. So I don't care. When I look down here though, Montreal 3.3 implied team total. Nashville 2.9. This is the 2.9s. 2.9 Nashville, 2.9 Buffalo, 2.9 New York Rangers. Okay, so we're under a 3.0. These are not great. These are the two I'd be focused on. I do look at some of these because they are on these lists, but when I look at them in terms of implied team total, I've got no support from Vegas coming out of this. It's like, Chop, you're on your own, man. Live or die on your own. No support. I would also look into Arizona, though. One little caution, there's road splits. They're not as good on the road as they are at home. And their 2.6 implied team total tells me that they shouldn't be that competitive per Vegas with Nashville. But Nashville's only a 2.9. They've got both those teams as relatively defensive teams, but Nashville's allowing 4.0 goals against. So, I mean, this is just the type of slate where a bunch of crap can break loose, and it's going to be very hard to predict. I'm going to be probably the only, tout, if you want to call me a tout, coach, advisor, talking head, whatever the hell you want to call me. I'm probably going to be the only one telling you how crazy this slate is today and how wide open it is. And it's a very, very GPP type of slate unless you wanted to focus on these games or pull some ownership reports and hide inside the chalk for cash games for safety. That's what I would do. That would be my general game plan. Let's hide inside the chalk, folks, on these two teams, and let's get crazy with tournaments. Big slate anyway. Don't need to worry about ownership. Don't need to worry about squat. Just pick your stack and ride or die. And I listed some of these stacks. These are, and you've probably already been looking at these. Smith is a one-off because he doesn't correlate very well with these particular guys, and these are guys doing the action. So these are basically the guys doing the action. Garland, Dvorak, Schmaltz are the line that I would run out of Arizona because they're the ones doing the damage. And I would pair them maybe with an Ekman Larson or whatever, Osterley, Chikrin, whatever the hell you have, Chiclet, whatever you want to call him. These are the types of people that I might run in there with them because they're showing some activity. They're not getting great results. These guys are getting some results. So if you wanted to run them as just a 3-stack, man, go for it. Okay, that's what you're seeing here. It's a 3-stack: Kachuk, Backlund, and Anderson. Why they correlate together pretty well. But if I wanted to run a main stack of Calgary, go to Monahan, Lindholm, Kachuk, Geo. That's power play 1, and that just run it out there because you've got these guys. Or run, set your stacks to run 3 of these 5 guys, and let the optimizer pick which 3. Same one here: Olafson, whatever. Eichel, I abbreviate. Skinner, Johansson, Dalen, and then take these guys and let it run 3 of the 5 or 4 of the 5. You don't have to make it run all 5. Okay, these are the only 3 guys I'd be focused on in New York right now: Panarin, Zibanejad, whatever, and D'Angelo. D'Angelo's kind of a sneaky cheap, great little one-off defensively. He's blocking shots. He's shooting the puck, getting a little bit of results. And these 2 guys, he's on the ice in the top defensive pairing. He's on the ice with these 2 guys when they're doing damage and even strength. And these are the 2 guys doing the damage. This is actually sneaky in terms of, it looks a little bit like Edmonton in that this is your McDavid and Draisaitl. A lot of that offense right now in the 3-game sample size we've got from New York is going through those guys. Now, I think they're in a pretty good paper matchup, but I think it's a very, very small sample size. So, again, it raises questions. It's nothing that I'm sure about. It's nothing that I'm going to sit there and say, yes, do this. I don't know what I would do. If I were to do something like the most sure I could be in cash games, I would literally hide within here or try to find the chalk. That's what I would do, like I said, for cash games. But for tournaments, I'd get crazy. I'd include any and all these guys. I'd bounce around. I'd do all sorts of weird shit. So it's basically your quick look in 15 minutes or less. I am Choppadong. Use coupon code CHOP to become a VIP. Talk with us all day long inside the hockey room because we're here to help you get better at what is a very fun but very volatile sport. I'm going to check out. I'm going to catch you guys later. I'll start throwing some box checker stuff up here today when I prepare it. And catch me out on Twitter. Let's have some fun. See you guys.